Hey everyone, so here will be my trade recap for the 1st to 5th of March. This was NFP week. So overall, I had a losing week. I didn't, most of my trades end up in losses for this week, but I've always been performing poorer for NFP week in all my 7 years of trading. So how I dealt with it moving when I first started the week was I knew that I had to be really picky with my trades, and entered every trade with half risk from my usual size because I wanted to still keep to my trading routine, but I didn't want to lose as much. So this was just reducing the probabilities. So as long as my expectation was set, I didn't feel greedy. I didn't expect that I would make a lot of profits. And if I did have profits, I thought that that would be a huge bonus and a huge win for me, especially for NFP week. So yeah, let's get into the trade recap for the week. This is the 1st of March, Monday. I took a GJ long over here after price actually made a rejection to the downside and still held above this support over here. I waited for this bullish engulfing candle to close and then for price to retest, reject off this support, and then I took the longs here. So this trade actually went into profits quite easily after that. I had my stop loss below this wick low. It went for about 1.7 R before it actually flipped backwards and then got me at break even. How I think I could have done better on this trade was because overall price was actually making lower highs over here and lower lows. Even though price held this support, since I have a usual range of 1.5 to 2R to actually take my first TP, once it hit 1.5R around this area here, I should have been a bit more careful when this next candle actually rejected again, creating a lower high, and then just cut the entire trade at that point in time, since price was actually going on a tentative bearish downtrend. But I held on to the trade because overall, the higher time frame is actually still bullish. If we can look at the 4-hour, the higher time frame is still very, very much bullish over here. So I held on to my long bias and failed to recognize the intraday signs, and that's how I took the BE on this trade, which was unfortunate. So after taking that first loss, I didn't really want to take any more trades that day because I didn't feel like I got the week off to a right start, plus price was actually trading counter trend to the overall higher time frame. So I let the rest of the short trades go, even though there were opportunities to go short at that point in time. One loss for the day, and then I was done with my trading day. So on 3rd March, Wednesday, I didn't take a trade on Tuesday because I didn't see any proper setups. But on Wednesday, I saw this long trade over here, which I then again took another loss because I failed to realize so something I've observed is if price at London Open does not break out of this gray and red box over here, this is my Asian high and Asian low range that I have set up for myself. So personally, I found out through my backtesting is if by London Open price does not close above and break out of the range or break below of the range, depending on the trend, what usually will happen is price will tend to range inside this whole Asian area until probably New York before it would then do its move to come out of the range. That was something I should have observed on this trade, but I didn't, and that's how I hit the loss. So I saw that price actually broke out of this resistance over here, and then when it pulled back and created a new higher low of this support, I took the longs at that point in time. But unfortunately, because it hasn't broken out of the range, and that's how I took the loss. So I think this could have been avoided if I paid more attention to the Asian range. Hopefully, this is something that you guys can observe as well. After that first loss, and I saw that price had broken out during London Open over here with this big candle. I could have waited for the retest and then taken it long again. But by that time, since it was NFP week, I decided that I didn't want to take another loss for that day itself. So I just let the rest of the trade go. But as you can see, it would have moved for about, maybe if I put my entry over here on hindsight, with my stop loss below this retest to the Asian resistance over here, this would have given me about 1.5 to 2R. So I could have maximized some profits over here, but since I taken the loss earlier, I decided not to trade for the day. And after that, you can see that price was actually quite choppy heading into the New York session. So this was my first winning trade of the week. how I saw this trade was because pre-London, I noticed that this candle, this 4-hour candle, actually was about to close above this level of resistance on the 4-hour. So I then went down to the 1-hour, and then I saw that this candle over here had just broken out of this resistance as well. So I waited for a pullback to happen. So I then dropped down to the 15-minute. Since by the time I saw it, price did this pullback, which I didn't like because it was actually about the same size as this candle. So I let it go first, and then I waited for price to actually come back for a pullback for me. And then I took the entry long over here when price held support and made a higher low, and then I just went for 1.5R at that point in time. So this was how I took the entry with my stop loss below this 15-minute previous support, and then I let the trade ride out. So once it hit 1.5R over at this area, I secured 50%, and then I let the trade go because the runner hit my stop loss at BE over here, and then I knew that that was the sellers holding the Asian highs. As we can see, the two rejections plus this very strong bearish engulfing close. So I didn't want to hit the trades with another long until I saw price coming back deeper for a retrace. So for my very last trade, this, to be honest, this trade I should not have taken it because it was part of my rules not to take trades near high impact news, and that day we had NFP. So I broke my rules, and I think that was how I could have avoided the loss by sticking to my trading plan. So this was a trade that could have easily been avoided. But the idea was when I saw that price was actually coming down into this area here, my green area where I was looking for buys, I saw this rejection, huge rejection wick on the 1 minute. Recently, I've noticed that I am able to look at structure earlier for signs of an earlier hold of a certain zone before I actually take the trade. So when this candle actually held like this with a strong rejection wick and still closing bullish, I waited for the retest because I didn't want to buy so high off away from the zone. I waited for price to come in, and then when this area bounced off the zone, I knew that this buyer's area was holding. So at that point in time, I was waiting for price to actually hold this area on the retest, but I didn't see a proper bullish engulfing candle for me to take. So for my trade, I saw this bullish engulfing, but I missed the trade because by the time I saw it, it was already somewhere here. So after I saw this bullish engulfing candle again, because I didn't want to buy high straight into this resistance, I knew that the buyers were holding already this bottom area. So I wanted to let price come back for a retest. So when it did this over here, closing above this level of support, I took my longs like this with my stop loss below this wick lows because this structure was already holding. So I went into profits for a bit right before NFP, but because I entered on this candle somewhere a bit later, somewhere like this, I didn't manage to secure anything because it failed to meet my 1.5R, and then price then came out to stop me because of the NFP news. So this trade really I could have avoided trading so near into the NFP session. And yeah, so that was my learning point for this trade. So overall, price action has been very choppy this week. I don't feel very good about my performance this week, but I told myself that it's already passed, and we have another 3 more weeks in March to go. So luckily I kept my losses small and didn't go full risk on the trades in the first week of March. So that way I could still be able to cover for the rest of the 3 weeks of March. So hopefully we end the month of March profitable. If you are down for the month, don't let your losses get to you. It doesn't mean that you're a bad trader. But if you have identified that you are actually over trading and over risking, these are habits that only you yourself can stop. Come into the next week with a fresh mind, and then just trade with good habits, and your trading account should be profitable by the end of the month if your analysis is right? So reach out to me if you guys have any questions. I know this wasn't a very exciting trade recap full of losses, so hopefully you guys got some tidbits on how I could have avoided my trades. And then yeah, I'll see you guys on the stream on Monday.